Hey y'all, I'm going to show you today how I like to fish laydowns, and in particular how I like to fish laydowns with a soft plastic creature bait. This particular one is Z-Man Palmetto Bugs. I've got a quarter-ounce sinker, a little offset hook here, and you've seen me in the tournament vlogs. A lot of times you see me fishing laydowns, fishing docks, and I just want to walk you through what exactly from flip to catch. I ain't promise you no fish catch. All right, but I want to show you what I'm thinking about, what I'm looking for when I'm fishing laydowns, when I'm fishing wood structure. This is like probably this is the meat and potatoes of bass fishing for me anyway. If I can put a 7.5 foot rod in my hand with some 20-pound test fluorocarbon and a simple creature bait on a Texas rig, I'm ready to go to the club and dance. You know what I'm saying? That's good stuff for me. I enjoy it. It's like, it's very simple. It's visual. A lot of times I even see the bites when I flip a Texas rig in a laydown. But I'm going to show you what I'm looking for and what I'm trying to avoid when I'm fishing this bait. And as always, I'll give you the equipment that I like to use. I got a couple different setups. The one that I'm using today is probably not my number one setup, but it is one of the setups that you can use. It's a lot more affordable than the one that I use in my tournaments. I'm gonna ride around and just take a scope of what I got to fish here. A lot of times I do that. I'll spend time, especially in a tournament, I'll spend time just idling around looking for the right laydowns. Like this one right here. That could be a good one. It's pretty narrow. It doesn't have a lot of places that I would have to pick apart. I would say that's a fairly decent one. You see this one over here, I really like. I like because it goes parallel to the bank. That's a real good one right there. I like the fact that that one's shallow. It runs parallel to the bank. You can run a buzz bait across it. You can flip it. You can do a lot of different things. The biggest thing I like about it is it doesn't have a lot of too many branches to where it's hard to pick it apart. So let's just dive right into it. We'll start out with the equipment that I'm using today. This is a Favorite Pro Series, the rod. Favorite Pro Series 7'3" heavy. I like the heavy action rod, a heavy power rod. I know somebody's gonna call me out. How heavy power rod? Just because I got to turn them around. When you fishing a laydown, you can't be in there just lollygagging around. A lot of times you need to be able to get the fish turned around and head it your way. I need to be in control of what's going on. It's like your 3-year-old. Get up, let's go take a bath. Get up, go. You can't sit there and negotiate with him. When he bites my bait, I want to be able to do what I need to do with him. 7'3" heavy power. The reel. I like a faster reel for this. This one is a 7.51 gear ratio. Use a 8, use a 10, hell, use a 20. Fastest reel you got. What it's going to help you do is when you're making those flips, this is going to help you get in and out a lot faster. So the faster I can get in and out, the more flips I can make, the more fish I'm going to catch, right? So use the fastest reel you got. If it's a 6, if it's a 5, and that's the fastest you got, just work with it. All of that'll work, but you're gonna be more efficient. You're gonna be able to make more flips with the faster reel that you can use. Lose Pro TI is what I got here. The line, probably never use less than 15. Probably never use more than 25. If I need more than 20 or 25, you probably need braid. How do you know if that's what you need? When you set the hook, if you break it off, go bigger. If the water's clearer, use a little bit smaller. If the bait is smaller, less bulky, use smaller line. If the weight is smaller, use smaller line. If the weight is heavier, use bigger line. Simple as that. It's very simple math to it. Now, for me, today we're fishing in a current situation. There's a little bit of current because we're fishing the river. There's some laydowns. I prefer to use a lighter sinker. I like the way the lighter sinker just lets the bait cascade through the laydowns and through the water column. It just looks real lifelike. So I'll never use much more than a quarter. I prefer a 3/16, but some of these laydowns are a little deeper up here in this river, so I'm using a quarter-ounce just to kind of help get it down to them a little bit better. All right, did I get everything? I got hooks, I got lines, I got rods, I got reels. That's all y'all need on when it comes to technical gear. I ain't got nothing else for you. Just you listen. If you're new to pitching and flipping wood and structure and docks, visual targets, probably ignore that first part a little bit. You don't even know what you're doing yet, so don't go out and buy a bunch of rods and reels and stuff. You don't even know what you're doing yet. You can't even pitch. Take the rod that you got right now, take a coffee cup and or some kind of teacup or something, and just learn, get used to pitching at it for right now. Once you get proficient and understand what to look for and get some confidence in the technique, then go to Favorite USA, get you a 7'3" or get the MDJ rod like what I use, and then you can start spending some money in it. You don't even know what you're doing yet, so don't waste your money and stuff. Let's look at this laydown that I got right here in front of me. You can see this laydown. You got a lot of different things going on here. You got, it comes out here in the middle of the river. That laydown is probably going to be about the least effective laydown for you to flip. I ain't saying I wouldn't flip it, and I ain't saying there ain't days where it won't be one on that one, but I don't like this laydown that's right here in front of me for a couple reasons. It's got too much going on. A fish could be just about anywhere in this laydown. It comes out here, it's like 10 foot of water with a boat setting. It's about 40 foot long, headed all the way to the bank. It's got too many places for the fish to hide and get out of my reach. So it would take me probably 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes to fish that laydown, which is extremely inefficient because if you look down through the river, there's laydowns everywhere. There's laydowns for miles and miles. Probably not going to spend much time on something like that. If it's in front of me, I'll fish it. Now look at this one right here. You barely can see it. You see this laydown? It's just like one stick, one thing in the water. That kind right there is the one that's the one that I'm going to really spend some time in. It's high percentage. If he's there, he can't be nowhere but right there in the fork where that little piece comes out. There's maybe 1 or 2 twigs outside of that main piece of structure there. That's the one. That's the one that it gives you a chance. That one don't give you that good of a chance because it's just too many places to hide. The fact that it sticks out in the river so much, I don't know. I don't like that laydown. But when I come up to one like this, that's got just a little bit of structure, that's the one that I'm most likely, almost always, are going to catch a fish on. So, fishing river systems, even in the reservoir or lake, always think isolated. You're going to have a tendency to want to go places where you pull into a creek and you see this long bank of nothing but laydowns. That's probably the worst place to fish. Look for isolated ones. Look for one that's sitting on a catwalk or around a dock. Look for one that's sitting all by itself. That's the one that's going to give you your best chance of catching a fish. It's really important for you to, especially when you're river fishing like what I am today, there's going to be so many laydowns. When you go down the river, it's just laydown after laydown after laydown. But then every once in a while, you'll hit a stretch where there's just mud. At first glance, a lot of times it looks like there's nothing there, but if you'll get up on your front deck and look at that stuff, you'll notice that there's stumps under the water. There may be rocks. There may be a laydown that's pushed up on the mud flat. Those are the places that I like to look. Let's look at this place right here. Now let's look at this one. Shut the motor off. You can see how it looks like there's nothing around here. It looks like it's just mud bank. You saw laydown after laydown after laydown on the river. Doesn't look like as much here, but I'm gonna show you. This is something that I would 100% flip. Get on the trolling motor. I'm gonna show you. This is the kind of stuff you can actually visually see. This little laydown. It's not even laydown. It's something that just got pushed up at this creek mouth. This is like the peaches and cream. This is the peaches and cream of flipping stuff here. You see this right here under the water? It's like an old root ball or something. I'm not really sure what it is. But that kind of stuff like that right there, you can't see that. At 20 and 30 miles an hour, when you're riding down the river, you can't see that. You got to get up here and fish it. But that is high percentage stuff to fish right there. That's it right there. That's what the kind of stuff you want to flip. Now even this one right here, you can see it's a stump right here that looks like it's too far out of the water, but what you don't recognize unless you get over here and fish it is the root system. You can see the root system comes way out here, 5-6 foot off the bank. And that just gives the fish somewhere to hide, an ambush structure. You can see it's a cavern up under that stump. That's the kind of stuff you want to flip. But you won't see that until you actually get over here and fish. All the real obvious stuff, the really big laydowns, I honestly don't do much on that kind of stuff. But places like that is what I spend my time looking for. And a lot of times, if I know that the fish are on stumps and laydowns and wood when I'm practicing for a tournament, then when I come back and practice, I'll just stay on the big motor, or maybe the trolling motor, and look for places just like that. Let's walk through just the cast, the flip, the pitch. I know some people are gonna say, you're not flipping, you're pitching. Bro, I ain't got time for all that. You know what I'm talking about. I'm putting the bait where I want to put it. You want to call it pitching, call it pitching. You want to call it flipping, call it flipping. You want to call it casting, call it that. I don't care what you call it. Get the bait to where it needs to be. All right? Place like this is really good, high percentage. My first flip is going to be right to about where I can't see the wood in the water. So I'm going to put the first flip, let me get my hands right, well, right along in there. And I'm going to let that bait cascade down the lay down. You remember it's current here, so it's actually I got to flip my bait ahead and let the water pull it to wherever I want my bait to be. I'm just going to push it down or flip it up above and let the water push it down. Almost, not always, but especially in the summertime, your bite is going to come when you first flip it in there on the initial fall. So you better be watching what's going on. Don't flip it and be talking to your partner in the back. Man, I tell you, man, my sister-in-law moved in with me, and boy, she cuts her toenails on the couch and leaves them. You don't want to do that. When I flip in there, my eyes is on my line, okay? I'll flip it in there like that. I'm watching my line. As soon as my bait goes out of sight, I'm paying attention to see how deep that water is, for one. But if I notice that bait stops too quickly, if my line just lays down on the water as soon as I flip in there, he probably got it. It's gonna hit the bottom of his bottom lip. That's why the line stopped. You're gonna, depending on what weight sinker you use, you're gonna catch a cadence. And you're gonna notice that bait sinks about the same rate every time. And then all of a sudden, you're gonna have something that disrupts the cadence of that fall of the bait. That's the bite. And I ain't giving him any time. If I flip it up there like this, and I see the line lay down on the water, I'm John Cena. You can't see me. I black out and I'm ready to hit him, okay? I don't do no checking. I don't do no pointing. If I see the line lay down on the water, it's game on. I'm gonna set the hook and bring it to the boat. So I'm gonna flip it in there like that. I might let it hit the bottom, and there's gonna be days where you might have to you're gonna have to work the bait a little bit. I'll bring it over to lay down. You're gonna learn a pattern of the fish being on the up current side of the laydown, where it first enters the water, or you're going to learn that there's going to be times where they're going to be down on the down current side, near where the laydown has more forks and limbs. Sometimes they're up on the up current, and they're going to be up there tight. They're feeding on brim or something, they'll be up there tight. And then you're going to find a lot of times, especially if they're feeding on shad forage, and they're ambushing shad as they come by, a lot of times they're going to be out further off of the lay down. And all this is just an ambush point. Remember, especially a largemouth bass in particular, of course all bass are pretty much, sight predators. Remember that these fish, think about how you would do. You ever played like boogeyman with your brother, sister, siblings, cousin, whatever? How you scare people, how you attack them is you get behind something and you jump out and get them. That's all you're trying to do, is find places where these largemouth in particular, spotted bass and smallmouth, they do some of the same stuff, but largemouth in particular, they're very lazy. And so find a place where they can hide, sit there, wait for things to come in their peripheral, eyesight, I use a big word right there, peripheral, and jump out and eat it. That's all they're doing. So think about that with the forage. If it's shad forage, I'm probably going to make my flip out here further, deeper out in deeper water to where he's setting, where shad would normally be. If I know that if I see some fish like pushing brim on the bank, guess where my flip is going to be? I'm going to flip way up there towards the bank where my laydown first hits the water, because that's typically where brim are for the most part. All right? That just gives you a starting point until you learn where you need to fish for the day. Talk about the technique of flipping and pitching. You know, this is, I don't know what happened about 5 to 10 years ago, but you see a bigger transition of guys using left-handed reels. If that's what works best for you, use a left-handed reel. I really highly suggest, if you're right-handed, learning to hold your rod with your left hand and flipping with your left hand like that. Because a lot of these bites are going to happen as soon as the bait hits the water. And if you're having to swap hands, like look, you can sometimes, it's good to swap hands because you got a different angle and you can cast better. But if I got to do that and then swap over here, dude, he done pull me down in the lay down 20 foot now. Get used to flipping with your left hand. It's just going to take some practice. Just get used to using that momentum of your left hand you're going to be a lot more efficient. The fish is not going to break you off as much. You're going to be able to make more flips. It's just, don't waste time flipping your hands from left to right. If you have to use a left-handed reel to accomplish that, then do it. But the easiest way, the best way to do it is learn how to pitch and flip with your left hand. You see, look at this piece of structure right here. That is high percentage, setting all by itself. I'm gonna flip it up there, let it sink down. Something like that. If he's there, he's gonna hit it automatically. I know. I can make about 3 flips to a piece of wood like this and I can move on. That's what you're looking for when you're pitching and flipping. You see, I actually got 2 pieces of structure here. There's actually a lay down that you barely can see under the water. You see there's one up there close to the bank. You can flip that too. I'll just kind of work it down. Just let it hit the bottom, and I'll just hop it like that with my rod tip. Let it hit the bottom. Hop it like that, let it hit the bottom. Hop it like that, let it hit the bottom. Really simple. Typically when you fish in structure like this, it's kind of a visual deal. So if he sees it, feels it, hears it hit the water, he's coming to get it. If he's not, then move on to one. There's probably one 20 foot down the bank that you can catch. But it's very simple fishing. The biggest mistake that I see people make pitching and flipping is keeping too much tension in the line when they flip. It's really important to throw the line back at the bait. When you throw the line back at the bait sinks right where you pitched it. If I flip in here like this, if I flip into this lay down right here, and I got my line tight as it's sinking, that bait is pendulum. It's swinging back to me if I keep the line tight. So it's real important. You'll notice when I flip up there, I almost like lay my rod tip down at like a 90-degree angle until I know it's on the bottom or a bass has got it. And then once I know it's on the bottom, then I pick it up and I start my retrieve. But if you flip it up there like this right here, you flip your bait up there and you got it tight and it's right here at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, that bait is just swinging right back to you, which is not necessarily bad, but just know that it's not in the same spot that you pitched it. And a lot of times it's really important that your bait stays exactly where you put it. Today I'm using a creature bait. When you're pitching and flipping around any type of wood, just about any style bait is fair game. Creature baits are really famous now, or beaver style baits. I've used everything from straight tail worms to stick baits. I've used the brush hog style baits is one of my favorite styles. But that's one of those things that is hard to coach you on which one is the best for each situation. I've used them all, and I've used them all at all different times of the year, and I've caught fish on them all the baits at different times of the year. It's going to have a lot to do with just what the fish want for that day, the water conditions of that day, and the freaking fish's mood of that day. So get used, don't concentrate on the bait quite as much right now. If you got a plastic that you already have a lot of confidence in, use that plastic and just pitch it around wood. Get used to the technique. Using a plastic you already got confidence in is going to just give you more confidence in the technique. And then as you get some confidence in actually pitching and flipping, then you can start to experiment with different baits. Pitching and flipping is fun. It's probably my favorite way to fish. Probably one of the things that I would consider my strength. Get you one of these setups like this, or use what you got, and I promise you that pitching and flipping is going to become one of your favorite ways to catch a bass. Make sure you look for that isolated structure too. That's key.